Oh my God, it's been a long week. I don't even have my laundry done. And frankly, I think I stayed too long in Vegas. But for my first time going to NAB or NAB, it was perfect. Oh, and just to flesh this out, a few people jumping in on the comments to correct me in calling it NAB. Don't do that. This is why audio people get a bad rap for being snobbish. I don't care that you've never heard it like that before. I have. My old program director called it NAB. And just to cement my resolve, during the final main stage event, Casey Neistat called it NAB. Good enough for me. It's like DAW or DAW, ASIO or ASIO. Get over it. Move on with life. Anyways, there was a bit of a wrap up I wanted to do, but I found myself really struggling to find the words, and I wanted to make it a little bit more formal with my teleprompter so I could kind of keep my thoughts in line. So let me just say this. NAB or NAB was more than I expected it to be. It was a wild success for this channel and allowed me to get so many contacts through the industry that were incredibly difficult to track down prior, especially here in Canada. Frankly, that alone made this whole trip worth it. Even if it doesn't end up with a barrage of new products to review and play with, at least having somebody at these companies to chat with is really awesome. And of course, there are the products. So many to take in, so much that was new, so much that was awesome, and frankly, so little time. Although time really wasn't the issue for the most part. It was more about the miles walked. Just to give you an idea, I walked an average of 8.5 miles per day while I was there, and most of that came with a massive 35-pound backpack on my back. I got massive blisters on my feet. No, I'm not going to show you that. No one gets free feet on my channel. For free? That was for sure the limiting factor. I did my best to take it all in and try to get to all the booths and talk to all the people. But I think if I had a bit more of a plan going in, it would have been possible instead of my meandering ploy. But I'm kind of okay with that. It was my first year, and it won't be the last. I'm going to work on my scheduling. Another massive positive from NAB was the people. I ran into countless people, some fans of the channel, which was really cool, but I also ran into people like Tom Buck, Bronson from Audio Hotline, Julian Krause of all people. And I also got to meet Harris from Alpha Gaming, which was pretty cool. But again, why are all YouTubers super tall? Just a wicked experience, all in all. But I did promise a little bit of bad stuff here. Well, I kind of came away disappointed in a few companies and honestly, a good portion of the show. Because the big thing that a lot of companies are diving into right now is just AI. And while I don't mind the whole push towards AI, I found there were a few companies that seemed to forego anything substantial in regard to new in favor of AI. And one of those was Adobe. They were showing off their new integration with Audition into Premiere Pro, which does kind of blow me away that it has taken them this long to do that. But the big deal they were pushing was their single button AI enhance option for audio, which is something that other brands have been working on for years, like Descript. But of course, Adobe being Adobe, they were dropping all of their resources and doing the same themselves instead of integrating someone else's. So I stopped by their booth and I asked a few questions like, what about creating something like this with more customizability, more than just a single slider? And every time I asked him, he just simply responded with, well, that's some great feedback. We'll look into that. Meaning, if you were hoping for something groundbreaking from Adobe that wasn't AI, well, you might have walked away a little bit underwhelmed, even if you were expecting AI. A little underwhelmed. And I got that from a few companies. I'm not going to go through all of them and make this a big hit parade, but it does seem like that was a focus this year rather than cool new advancements. And I get that AI is going to be big as we move into the future, but it isn't everything right now, and in some cases, it isn't even the best. I think for me, we're far enough away from AI being super impactful on our workflows that it seems kind of disappointing to see that it was all there really was for several companies. You remember curved TVs? Remember 3D TVs? Kind of feels like AI is going in the same direction where they're just trying to ram it into everything and, well, we'll see if it works out in the end. Not everything has to have an AI integration right now, and I would rather see the concept be fully fleshed out than debuted at a trade show with someone saying, oh, it's some great feedback. Anyways, you know what? I digress. I should do some shout outs here. Got to meet with Black Magic Design. They have some fun stuff rolling out with Fairlight. I'm going to be doing a bit of work with them on Fairlight, which I think is kind of cool in my long track to finding a fully functional replacement for Audition in my podcast editing workflow. Let's see if Fairlight can do that. Shure showed up at the show with a lot of fun stuff, as did DPA mics. Rode, of course, doing their thing and making a splash. Year after year, they're good for that. And even seeing brands like Saramonic and Mono, which, by the way, I finally wrapped my head around how to say that, it just goes to show how much these brands are moving into the broadcast sphere and are gunning for the consumer end of things. Whether you like the sound or not, they're cheap and they're going to be easily accessible by almost everyone, making broadcast and podcast and gaming accessible for everybody. But I think in the end, it was just an amazing time meeting some friends and making some new ones and being able to be part of something like Nab, the ultimate broadcasting show in North America. I think this is going to be a yearly trip for me. Anyways, we're getting back to all the reviews this week, so don't you worry. I got a bunch of stuff sitting around like the Ray and other stuff that I haven't gotten to because I've been in Vegas. It's a growing pile, to be sure. So I will see you in the next video.